This is my first behind the scenes video of a wedding day. I hope you enjoy. Hi and welcome to my first behind the scenes video. Here you will join me on top of my camera and see how I navigate the day. I hope you enjoy. So quick disclaimer, I'm aware of how bad quality this footage is. My GoPro is getting on a bit. I promise a new one is on my list of things to get, so any future videos like this will be much better. But for now you'll just have to bear with me. So today is a half-day wedding, though I actually did end up staying until the evening. My parents happened to be evening guests, so the bride and groom welcomed me to stay also. In return I just got them some extra evening photos as well, which you can see at the end, but more on that later. So typically I start by photographing the details, mainly the dress and the shoes. Sometimes brides have extra things they want photographed, like perfumes, jewellery, invites, etc. But today it's just the dress and the shoes. As you can see, I have moved the dress to a more scenic spot. I actually like to bring the dress outside if I can, but today the weather's a bit naff and the garden is wet, so obviously not going to risk taking it outside. So in front of the window will do. It's nice to have the light coming through. I make sure to move anything distracting, especially if the bride is getting ready at home. It tends to be a bit more chaotic. So in these important shots, I'm quite mindful of making sure there aren't too many distractions and things lying around. You can't go overboard though with moving things. I would suggest moving the odd thing here and there to make the shot better, but don't start completely tidying up around them. That's just weird. And it will completely distract the bride as well. The aim is to obviously blend into the background, not make a scene. So once I've got all of those details, usually the bride is nearly ready. No one wants photos of their makeup half done, so that's why I do the details first. Then I can get some photos of her getting ready and getting her makeup all finished. The bridesmaids were all very prompt today actually, for once, and they were already ready when I arrived, so I just focused on the bride's day, and then I got some candid shots of the bridesmaids sorting everything out as well. So my equipment today consists of my main camera, which is my new Nikon Z6ii with the 24-70mm f4 lens. This is the one I'm currently using, which has the GoPro attachment on top. This is my main camera I use throughout the day. I just think it's a lot more reliable, and I like the fact that you can see like the exposure of your image before you take it, which is really useful. Then I have my second camera, which is the Nikon D600 SLR, which has my Nikon SB910 Speedlight on top and a 50mm lens as well. So I use that if I ever need a bit more flash, but generally that tends to be towards the evening. So fast forward to the church. So I usually leave at least 30 minutes before the bride is scheduled to leave, and that way I can make sure I'm completely ready for when she arrives. When I get to the church or the ceremony venue, I get some photos of the groom and his groomsmen while I wait, and I go around the venue, make sure everything is how it should be, check in with the vicar or registrar to go through any restrictions they may have and where I'm allowed to go, etc. And I make sure to get some detailed shots of the order of service, the flowers, etc. before everyone arrives. Unfortunately, my GoPro did stop recording at this point, so I don't actually have any footage of me doing any of the bride's entrance, which is really annoying, so you'll just have to look at the church. But what I usually do is I hang out with the bridesmaids if they arrive first, take some photos of them while they await the bride, which it tends to be a bit more scenic at the venue than when they were getting ready, so I like to make sure I get these shots here. Then as the bride arrives, I take some photos obviously of her getting out of the car, walking up to the ceremony. Luckily the sun came out for us finally at this point. If they have a fancy car too, I make sure to get details of this later, and as you'll see in a minute, this car is especially important as it's actually the bride's father's car, so I made sure to get a lot of the shots throughout the day. So once the bride is ready, I quickly make my way to the front of the church, and my second photographer stays at the back. That way we can get the best variety of shots, especially for the kiss. We can get like a close-up and the nice one looking from the back. I stayed up here for the majority of the time. There's a way round the side of the pews, round the back without getting in the way, which the vicar let me use kindly, so I could pop round the side to photograph the speakers, which is really useful. Once the paperwork had been signed, that meant I could nip round there too, so I could be at the back of the church with my second photographer for their exit. Then we get photos of them and their bridesmaids coming out of the church. Then my second goes around to take candid shots of all the guests while I start bossing everyone around.
If I could have everyone, regardless of whether you've got confetti or not, if I could get you all on either side of the path here for me, that'd be perfect. And then we'll get the bride and groom to walk down and you can throw the confetti at them as they go. Lovely. Is everyone ready? Okie doke. Emily and Dan, you can make your way down when you're ready.
It's important to be the loudest person there, unfortunately. If you want to get any decent shots and be efficient, that is anyway. I'm actually quite an introverted person usually, but at weddings I'm just like, you know what? I'm here to boss everyone around. That's my role. I need to do it. I think I did a pretty good job here of organising everyone. Love a good confetti shot. Unless there's a coordinator, I always make sure everyone is where they need to be for the couple's sake. I just kind of get things moving, and people generally tend to look towards the photographer as authority really on the day. Well, especially in England anyway. I know in America they have more wedding coordinators, but generally speaking in England the wedding photographer tends to be the main person kind of telling everyone where to be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And all of you lean into each other, look at each other, have a chit chat. Marvellous, perfect, okie dokie.
So next are the family formals. I try to get these done as quick as possible so everyone can continue with the day. I have a final details meeting with my couples before the day, mostly to go over the timeline. But one of the most important things is to go over the family photos, especially find out if there are any family members that won't be photographed together, like divorced parents, etc. If in doubt, always bring a list so you don't forget, you don't want any awkwardness on the day. So here we are for the couples photos. Of course my GoPro didn't record most of it again. So this is near the end. I promise I'll upgrade my GoPro soon. Most couples tend to feel a little bit awkward at first, so to help I first get them to just hold hands and go for a walkabout. That's literally it, nice and simple. Usually it helps them relax and you end up getting some nice natural shots as well as a result. Then I start directing them a little and moving them to different spots that I like. The poses I use vary from couple to couple. I kind of get a feel for what will work straight away. But this couple I kept it quite simple, touching foreheads together, having a bit of a dance, using some poses like shaft the ring, etc.
Just because your flowers there are really nice, if I can get you to keep those there, and then if you can clink your glasses together again. Can you pop a little bit of champagne?
The father of the bride actually brought champagne to the couple session, which was great, so we got some really good shots here too.
And if you can lean your faces in a bit closer for me. Marvellous. And give me a good kiss. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
So now we are arriving at the reception. I make sure to leave the couple photos slightly earlier so I can get there for their arrival. Usually that gives the couple about 5 or 10 minutes to themselves anyway, which is really important to let them be alone for a little bit. And then so I photograph them arriving, we get some candids of the guests, and then I walk around inside, get all those detailed shots that they've done. So for example, if they've got any guest books, place settings, literally any sort of decoration that they've paid for, I make sure to get photos of that so they can remember all of the effort they put in, which is really important. Another thing that's really important as well is to get photos of the food. Now, this is particularly extravagant. Honestly, it's the best food I've ever seen at a wedding, to be quite honest. It's fantastic. I mean, look at it. I must have taken hundreds of photos of the food alone. It was just wonderful. It doesn't really do it justice actually in this film. I'll add in some photos here. That's my second photographer, Nicola. Hi, Nicola. So she's helping me out with different angles. Obviously, she's got a 85mm lens on her camera, which is really, really good for candids if you don't want to get too close to people. They also had a pizza van outside in the evening, which is a brilliant idea, so I made sure to get lots of photos of that as well. So yeah, I could have taken photos of this food all day, really. Here are a few photos of the pizza van from later on. I'll make sure to list the vendors in the description below as well if anyone's interested. Here we are at the speeches. The speeches were actually really super early at this wedding, hence why I was able to capture them during the half-day coverage, but I ended up staying later anyway, as I said previously. During speeches, I just wander around, make sure to get lots of angles, and making sure I get photos of everyone's reactions as well. When you've done a few weddings, you tend to get a rough idea of when certain people are going to be mentioned during a speech, so I make sure to position myself to get said person's reaction. So my GoPro fully gave up at this point, plus I was technically off the clock anyway, so I didn't really get any behind the scenes footage of the evening part. It would have come out too dark anyway, but basically I photographed their first dance, as you can see here. I've got lots of photos of everyone dancing after as well. Obviously at this point I switched cameras and used my D600 with the 50mm lens and the Speedlight to get that crisp, sharp motion. I like the 50mm when I'm in a crowd. It's a good evening lens, so it's a good focal length and you can get a lot into the frame but still not have to get super close to anyone, which is a bonus when everyone's obviously trying to have a good time and not have a camera in their face. And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I plan on making some more soon. Yes, I will definitely upgrade my GoPro at some point this year. If you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.